Okay, today we are going to discuss recursive function. Recursive function are those functions which call itself inside its own definition. So let us see one recursive function in which we are trying to find the factorial of a number. So see, in this example, you can see that one function is defined here with the name calc underscore factorial, with the name calc underscore factorial, and inside this we are passing one argument which will find actually the which is actually the number for which we are trying to find the factorial. So suppose we passed in num equal to 4 means 4 argument 4 inside the function, means we are trying to find the factorial of 4. Then how the this recursive function is going to be executed, and what are the conditions that we should keep in mind while we are trying to define a recursive function. So as soon as the execution starts, see, from execution start from this statement num equal to 4, it will go to the second statement, print the factorial of num, that is 4 is calc underscore factorial num. Now this is the function calling statement. As soon as the function calling statement occurs, it will go to the definition. Inside the definition you can see that there is one statement: if x equal to 1 or x equal to 0, it will return 1, otherwise it will return x into calc underscore factorial x minus 1. Now see, if we have to find the factorial of 4, then we have to find 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. And so the function is returning x into calc underscore factorial and with the argument x minus 1. Okay. Now in the first statement inside the if, you can see that there is one condition: if x equal to 1 or x equal to 0, then return 1. This statement is known as the base statement because this statement will be responsible for ending the calling of the recursive functions. It will return the control from function definition to function calling again. Otherwise, if we not write base statement, then there will be only recursive function, means the recursive function will be there and it will call again and again and again to itself, and thus infinite calling may occur. And in case of infinite calling, system may also crash. So you have to very careful while you are writing base statement, and base statement should always be there inside a recursive function so that the function calling be stopped. Okay, so this is how we have written a recursive function for finding the factorial of a number. And in the right hand side you can see that execution is also shown here with the value 4. And the first calling, it will return 4 into calc underscore factorial 3, and in the second calling it will return 4 into 3 into calc underscore factorial 2, and so on. And at the last it will calculate the returned values, and so the return value will be equal to 24. Let us see how it gets executed. Actually, it is shown here. So as soon as the function definition occurs, that is function calling occurs, first will be calc underscore factorial 4. Now this function calling is going to return value. This function calling is going to return value 4 into calc underscore factorial 3. Okay. So this function calling is going to return 4 into calc underscore factorial 3. Now see, calc underscore factorial 3 is called, so 4 will be pushed inside a memory space that will be known as the stack. Suppose there is one memory space that is a stack, then 4 will be kept there in that memory space. Now it will call calc underscore factorial 3. So calc underscore factorial is going to return, calc underscore factorial will return 4 into 3 into calc underscore factorial 2. It means we will get two values inside the stack now, inside the memory stack now, that is 4 into 3 into. Okay, so now calc underscore factorial 2 is again going to return 4 into 3 into 4 into 3 into 2 into calc underscore factorial. It means it will return 4 into 3 into 2 into calc underscore factorial 1. Now here with the argument 1, you can see that argument is 1, and as soon as argument is 1, it is going to satisfy the base statement, and so the recursive calling will be stopped here, and now it will return back to the calling statement with the value 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which will be executed one by one, and so we will get the output as 24. Okay, so this is how our recursive function gets executed. It always requires a stack to push or to insert the last returned value, so that it can again call with the new argument. Okay, so it will, at the last, it will print the final values. So let us see another example of a recursive function. In the next example, we are trying to find sum of first 10 natural numbers. So here we are trying to find sum of first 5 natural numbers. So to find sum of first 5 natural numbers, we have written one function definition. Now here our purpose is to find sum of first 5 natural numbers. So what we have to find? 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. As soon as 1 occurs, it will be our base statement, and it will be our base statement. It is not, it is going to return 1 in case of 1, or you can also go one step ahead, that is up to 0, then also it may return 0, and that will be the base statement, so that the recursive calling will be stopped. Okay, so here you can see that first we have taken the number of terms. X is taking input for the number of term. With that we are passing values in value to the argument, value to the function. Here x is taken, but value 5 is passed, so it will find sum of first 5 natural numbers. Now see, while it will call rec underscore sum with argument 5, then it is going to else statement, and so it will return n plus rec underscore sum n minus 1. That is if rec and that means, let me explain this with this statements. Means first calling is rec underscore sum 5. Okay, as soon as this calling occurs, it will go to its definition, and executing its definition. After executing its definition, it will return value 4 5 plus rec underscore sum n minus 1, that is 4. Okay, so now again we are calling with rec underscore sum 4, so 5 will be kept inside a memory space that will be known as a stack. Now rec underscore sum 4 is called, so rec underscore sum is going to return, so rec underscore sum will return 4 plus rec underscore sum 3, and similarly rec underscore sum 3 will return rec 3 plus rec underscore sum 2, and it will go up to 1. It will go up to 0. As soon as 0 occurs, it will return value 0, and thus it will come out from the recursive calling. Okay, so at last the values which are stored inside the stack, that is 4 4 5 4 3 2 1, will be executed, and we will get value equal to sum of first n natural numbers. So one more example is shown to you, and rest you have to try by yourself. You have to try to define recursive functions by yourself. Another example is of the Fibonacci series. So in the next example, we are going to display Fibonacci series up to n numbers, and here we for n number of terms, we are calling the Fibonacci function for n plus 1 times. You can see in the function definition here, and we know that Fibonacci series will generate numbers in the pattern, like if first number is 0 and second number is 1, then it is going to return the third term as sum of first two terms. Means if the third term will be 0 plus 1 equal to 1, it means the three terms will be 0 1 comma 1. Similarly here, the first two term, again to get the next term, Again, to get the next term, that is the fourth term 2, we will add the its first two argument, that is 1 plus 1, and we will get value 2. Now to get the fifth term, we will add again 1 plus 2. Okay, so this is how the Fibonacci series is generated. Now let us see at the function. So this is the function to display Fibonacci series. In this function, you can see that inside the function, which is the recursive function, you can see that there is a base statement, and the base statement is if n is less than the base statement if n is less than equal to 1, then it will return the number itself. And if n is greater than 1, then it will return, means it will call itself with the value n minus 1. Again it will call itself with the value n minus 2, so that we can get the sum of previous two terms. Okay, so we have taken n from the user. Now we are checking if n is less than 0, means it is a negative value. If it is negative, we are asking to enter positive values, and after entering the positive values, the Fibonacci series is printed, and inside this we can see that we have taken a loop. That loop is executing for n plus 1 times. It is starting from 0 and it is going up to n plus 1. So it is executing for n plus 1 times, and inside this loop we have called the function fibc. So if we want to find n terms, then we will call this loop will be executed for n plus 1 times. In fibc will be called here for n plus 1 times, and again it will call to itself also. So it will be divided in two parts with the n minus 1 and n minus 2 values. So let us take one example. So let us take one example. Suppose n is equal to 2. What will happen in case of n is equal to 2? So it will call with the value fib2. C will execute for 0, comma 1. Okay, C will execute how many times? Means for loop will be executed how many times? If n is equal to 2, then for loop will be executed for 0, comma 1, comma 2. That is 3 times. Okay. So if fib for the first time, it will call with the value fib0. Means fib0, it will return the 0 value. Okay, it will be printed 0, and the next time it will call with the argument 1, so it is again going to return 1, so 1 will be printed. Now if c is equal to 2, means if c is equal to 2, then fib function will be called with argument 2, and for that we have shown you the execution here. If c is equal to 2, then it will call with the argument 2, and it will return two values, and the two values will again be the function calling of itself, that is fib2 minus 1 plus fib2 minus 2. So fib2 minus 1, it will be equal to 1, fib1, so it will return 1 plus, then fib2 minus 2 will return 0, so 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. So at the third term we will get 1 as the final value. Okay. So if n is equal to 2, then the iteration is going for iteration is going 3 times, and so 3 times fib is executed inside the for loop, and inside function again it is executed how many times? 1, 2, and then 3, 4. Okay, 4 times. So 4 plus 3, total 7 times function will be called recursively. Okay, so let us see for another number of terms, the same Fibonacci series for another number of terms. So if I is equal to 3, if I is equal to 3, it means that if suppose if I means n is equal to 3, in that case what will happen? If n is equal to 3, then the loop will execute for c equal to 0 to 3 plus 1, that is c equal to 0 c equal to 0 to 4, that is 0, comma 1, comma 2, comma 3. So it will execute for 4 times with the value 0, with the value 1, with the value 2, and with the value 3 also. Let me write it here. If n equal to 3, Then for loop will execute for c equal to c in the range, of course, c in the range 0 to c in the range 0 to 3 plus 1, that is 4, and so it will execute for c equal to 0, equal to 1, equal to 2, equal to 3. It means execute for 4 times. Now when equal to 0, it will return value 1. So it for the first time it is going to print 1. In the second calling, when value equal to 1, then again it will return the value 1, and so it will display that value, that is second term will be 1. And when c equal to 2, then it is going to display 0 1 1. Okay, as we saw in the last slide, when c equal to 2. Now when c equal to 3, in this case what will happen? In this, let us see, if c is equal to 3, so it will call fib 3 minus 1 plus fib 3 minus 2. It will return fib 3 minus 1 plus fib 3 minus 2. So fib 3 minus 1 will be fib 2, and fib 3 minus 2 will be fib 1. So fib 1 is again going to return 1. So first will be the fib 2, and next will be the fib 1. Fib 2 will again return fib 2 minus 1 plus fib 2 minus 2, and fib 1 will, so it will return fib 1 plus fib 0, and fib 1 is going to return 1, and fib 0 is going to return 0 as per the condition we have given in the base statement. Okay, and fib 1 is going to return 1. So what will be the output for the 1? In the left hand side you can see 1, plus in the right hand side 1, and so we will get 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. So for 3 terms we have already written 0 1 1, and this is the fourth term, that is 2. Okay, so this is how the uh, recursive function is executed. If you try some codes by yourself, but very careful while you are using or while you are writing base functions, because base function will stop your calling, otherwise your system may also crash. Okay, so it is very dangerous. Try it, but very carefully. So let us move to the next slide. In the next slide, we are just discussing about the advantage of recursion and how many times the default, what will be the default depth of recursion, that is how many times the function may call to itself. It may, by default it may call up to 1,000 times. If the limit is crossed, if it is called for 1,001 time or 1,002 time, then it will give us an error, that recursion error. Okay, it is going to give us an error, and the name of that error is the recursion error. Now what are the advantage of recursion? Function make the code look clean and elegant. You can see that only one single line of code we can see inside the recursion function, or only if and else statement are there inside the recursion function, if for the base and base statement, else for the recursive calling. Okay, so recursive function makes the code look clean and elegant. A complex task can be broken down into simpler sub-problems using recursion. Sequence generation is easier with recursion than using some nested iteration. Sequence generation is easier with the recursion. Okay. So disadvantage of recursion, sometimes the logic behind recursion is hard to follow through. Recursive calls are expensive, inefficient, as they take up a lot of memory and the time also. Recursive functions are hard to debug. So these are the disadvantages. When should we use recursive function? Recursive function should be used only when it is very complex to write iterative code. Recursive function makes the code simple. So this is all about the recursive function. We have discussed about the difference between the recursion and the iteration also. See, recursion, more storage space will be required for recursion, because it is calling again and again to itself. Inside the iteration, storage space requirement will be less, and in case of recursion, overhead is very high during runtime due to the pass of control frequently from calling to definition, and from definition to calling again and again. And whereas this overhead is very less in case of iteration. In case of recursion, the execution will be slower, whereas in case of iteration, execution will be faster than the recursion, of course. And in case of recursion, size of code will be of course small, but in case of iteration it may be complex or bigger in size. In case of recursion, infinite loop may cause stack overflow, means infinite calling of the function may cause stack overflow error, or it might crash the system also. In case of iteration, infinite loops uses CPU cycles. We can stop this by killing our code. Okay, so this is the difference between recursion and iteration, and from this we can very well conclude that recursion should be used only when the iteration becomes very complex. Otherwise we should avoid recursion. We should use iteration only. Okay, so this is all about the recursion. This is some practice questions. Please try by yourself. Fill in the line of the following Python code for calculating the factorial of a number. The base statement is given. You have to write the another statement. And in the second question, you can see that you are asked to find the output, and the function is called with the value 4 comma 7. Okay, so you try it by yourself. There is some more questions of high level. So you have to write the recursive function to find sum of all elements of a list. You have to find recursive function for sum of all elements of a list. Try it, and then you have to find the output for these two codes. Okay, so try it at home and ask if any doubt. Okay, so this is all about the recursive function. Now let us move to the next topic, and the next topic is Python libraries. Libraries is nothing but it is the collection of packages and the modules of the Python. And what are the package and the module? Package is again it is the collection of module, or it is collection of package. Also there may be package inside a package, and there may be number of modules inside a package. And modules is nothing but it is collection of different Python files. Okay, so libraries we will discuss first. Libraries, what are the libraries? Libraries are the functions or the files that contains all the built-in modules. Libraries are the files that contain built-in modules. The modules which are predefined are stored inside the library file. So first file that we explained here is the matplotlib, which is used for the plotting purpose. Like whenever we have to use the modules related to the line bar and the pie chart, then we will use matplotlib. For example, plot function is there inside matplotlib, and bar function is also there inside this. Pie function is also there. Okay, so another library is discussed here is the pandas. Pandas are used to deal with the high values, means a large values like tabular values, multidimensional values, and heterogeneous data. And inside panda there is various modules like which we have to which we need to use inside our program. And then there may be another library file also, that is OS. The built-in library file is already there, means it is default library. Built-in library file is already there. It is by default there in our Python code. We need not to install it, or we need not to write explicitly the built-in library file. So now what if the files, what if the modules or the library is not the built-in module, built-in library? In that case you need to install this library inside your Python. So to install the library, to use this library, or to use the functions stored inside these libraries, we have to install these in our Python. So the installing command will be pip install in the name of library, and this command we have to give inside the command prompt, or the DOS prompt. Okay, so the command will be pip install in the name of library, like pip install pandas. And suppose we want to install MySQL Python connector, then we can write pip install MySQL connector Python. Okay, so let us, for installing any library we have two steps. We need to follow two steps. The first step is one time step. If you do it for one time, then you need not to do it again and again. And the second step is just the installation which is written here. So let us discuss the first step. The first step is to set the path of a script in the environment variable. In the environment variable, to set the path of a script, the script folder is the folder which contains all the executable files or pip commands, which are of course again the Python files stored in our Python folder. So to set path variable, what we have to do, we have to go to the computer properties by right clicking, then go to the advanced system setting, click on the environment variable. There you will see two windows, and then you have to set path by pasting path of a script folder present inside the Python, which is present inside the Python. Now click OK and come out of the system property. Let us see its screenshot. See here, inside the system property, we are inside advanced properties. Inside the advanced properties, you can see environment variable, and inside the environment variable, see path, there is one variable path. By double clicking it, by double clicking on this variable, we will be forwarded to this window, and inside this window you can see that I have written the path of my script folder. Okay, similarly you have to write path of your script folder to set path variable, so that you can install libraries inside your Python. Okay, so second step is only you have to run this command. You have to run the command inside the command prompt. You have to open the command prompt as the administrator, and then type the command as pip install, and whatever library you want to install, you may install. Okay, so here one installation is done, and one installation is done for sorry, one installation is done for MySQL connector Python. One installation is done for MySQL connector Python, and see it is installing itself. Only one condition is required while we install our libraries, is that it's our system should be connected with the internet, then only it will install. Otherwise it will not install your library. Okay, so let us move to the next topic. This is all about the library. The next is the module. What is the module inside a what is the module inside a Python? So module is nothing but a piece of software, or the it is a file. We can say it is a file that has a specific functionality, or that contains a number of function, one or more than one function inside it. So module in Python are simply Python files with a .py extension, means all the files that we store inside our Python folder or anywhere else with the extension .py may work as the module. So the name of the module will be the name of the file. A Python module can have a set of functions, classes, or variable defined and implemented. Okay, so let us see. There is one more term, that is package. So what is package? Package are name spaces which contain multiple packages. It may contain packages also inside itself, and modules also. They are simply directories, means folders, but this folder must have one file, and the name of that file is underscore underscore init underscore underscore .py. Okay, so double underscore is here. So a folder will be treated as package only when it contains one file, and the name of the file is underscore underscore init underscore underscore .py, and file can be empty, and it indicates that the directory it contains is a Python package, so it can be imported the same way as we will import our modules. Okay, so let us see what is the module. See, inside the math module, we can see here some functions. There is many functions inside the math module, but some functions are shown here. Cell copy sign, fabs, factorial floor, f mode, and exp. So in the exam, you can in the exam you may be asked to give the name of the module for this function, or you may be asked to give the name of two functions from this module. So from the math module, only some functions are shown here, where ceil returns the smallest integer greater than or equal to x. Okay, so you can get these modules from the internet also, this function from the internet also. So let us move to the next slide. Now we are talking about the module. Module means nothing but a file which contains functions inside it. So to use a function inside a module, suppose we define the module and we want to use that function, means from the maths module we want to use some functions, then we have to first import that module. So to import module, what you have to do, you have to write the command, and that can be done in two ways. First is the import name of module, where import is the keyword and name of module is any module you want to import. And next way is the from module name. From if is small, from module name import function. So let us see these ways one by one. So in the first way, import name of module, all functions inside this module can be used following the syntax name of the module dot name of function. Means if you want to call a function inside the module which you imported, then you have to use the syntax name of module dot name of function. For example, suppose we imported random function, then see in the first underline statement we have called a rand range function. So the way of calling is random dot rand range. So first is the name of the module and second is the name of the function. Similarly, in the second underline statement we can see random dot rand range 4. Okay, so while we import a module using the syntax import the name of the module, then we will call the function inside that module with by inside that module with the name of the module dot the name of the function. So you can see the another example also. We have imported maths using the same the syntax one, way one, import math. Now we are calling the function inside this math module, that is seal and floor, and the output is shown here, you can see. So the second way is from name of module import name of function. From math import POW. From is the keyword, math is the name of module, import is the keyword, POW is the name of function. So from math import POW means we can import a function. We can import functions individually using this syntax, or we can import one or more function also using this syntax. And what will be the code? See it at last. From math import POW comma floor means we are importing two functions from module math, POW and floor. Now in this case, how these functions will be called? So in this case, the functions are called with the name only. We need not to write the name of module here. Only the name of function with the argument is used to call the function. So this is the basic difference between these two type of importing modules. This is another example where we use the second syntax from math import POW seal, and the calling is simple POW, then the argument, and then seal and the argument. Okay. So called seal functions, and the output is now creating your own module. I said that a module is the Python file itself, any file with the extension .py. So you can create your own module. Since module is a file with extension .py, so we can create our own module and import in other program also. Import it in other program also. See here we have imported one module, that is PS, and from that module we are importing two functions, sum underscore series 1, sum underscore series 2. Now see, PS is not a built-in module, it is defined by the user itself. So from this module we are calling two functions. So see what is written inside the ps.py file. Inside ps.py file we have written just two functions, and we are calling these two functions inside another file. So like this, you can also create a module, and in that module you can write all the functions related to a particular task, and then inside your main code you can call these functions by importing the module. Okay. So similarly, variable can also be assigned values inside modules, and it can be used in other programs or modules. Like the function definitions, we can also define variables there. We can also assign variable there, and we can use it in our program. See here we have used one variable also. In the PS module, you can see that three definitions are there. First definition is for the first function. First definition is for the first function, sum underscore series 1, and second is for the second function, And the third definition is for a variable where we are assigning 32 variable module underscore where. Okay, so this is the first file is actually ps.py file, which we have imported in our program. And importing this, we are using all the three definitions inside our code. So you can try by yourself also. Try to import, try to create a file with some functions, and then call it or import it inside another file. Okay, so let us see what is there in the next. So difference between module and package. A module is a file containing Python code. A package, however, is like a directory, that is a folder that holds a package in the module. A package must hold the file underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py inside itself. Means package may contain module, but module may not module cannot contain package. A package may have module, but module may not have package. Okay. So to import everything from a module, we use the wildcard star. Like if we have to import all the functions from module math, then what we will write? The command will be from math import star. But it is not going to work with the package, because the huge number of functions or the folders are there inside the package, so it will not work with the wildcard, will not work with the package. Okay, so this is the difference between module and the package. Now some questions are written here. Write Python statement to import function pyplot. You have to import function pyplot from module matplotlib. Module name is given, function name is given. You have to just import it. Okay. So let us see the next question. Next question is difference between module and package, that we currently discussed. Now write difference between two ways of importing a function from module. I think you are clear. Means how the functions are called in case of import Python, in case of import math, and from math import function. Okay, so you have to write these definitions and this answer for these questions. Then there is one more question in which you have to create your own module with the following function definitions. Four functions should be there inside your module. The name of the module will be check underscore number, and you have to call these functions inside another file. So create it, try it, and please send me the code. This is all about the libraries. Okay, so we discussed recursive function and Python libraries and modules here. And if you feel any kind of problem or any kind of doubt, you can ask me. We are leaving here.